So this story is how my mom got her horse Char. Back in the 60s, there were events called the Wild Pony Roundups. And this was instated because became illegal to just round up the wild horses and send them to the slaughterhouse. And so it's like you would pay $25. You'd go to the fairgrounds and you could pick one of the wild horses that they caught. My mom gets there and she's looking them over, and then she sees, like, not with the other horses, but off to the side there's this like older looking horse. His head is hung down. He looks like the life has just been, he was like just beaten out of him. He just looked miserable and depressed. He had a swollen leg, which is probably how they caught him. Turned out he was the stallion of the herd, estimated to be about 14 or 15 years old. They gelded him. So, I mean, yeah, he was not a happy horse, and they didn't think anybody would want him, so he was probably going to go to the slaughterhouse. But she saw him, and it was just, she had to have him. There was no question about it. And so she's like, I want that one. And they're like, are you crazy? Like, he's like 15 years old. He was the stallion. You're never going to break him. He probably won't live that long. Just get one of these 2 or 3-year-old ones that we brought in. And she was like, no. She's like, I need that one. Like, that it was meant to be. And so I guess that runs in the family of, like, we see an animal and you just know. It's like you were destined to meet, and like, come hell or high water, it was like, I am going home with that animal. And that was her with Char. And so she takes him against, like, everybody's like trying to convince her not to. And then her and her friend Bo, got him loaded up and got him back to where she was going to board him. And he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't drink. He was basically hell-bent to just, like, die. He was, like, he had no reason to live anymore. And, so she gets the vet out, and the vet checks him out. And the vet's like, well, I have an idea. It might not work, but let's give it a try. It's like in the very early mornings, when the, when the morning dew is on the grass, get a bale of hay from the middle of the stack. So, like, it has as little human scent on it as possible. Bust it open, take some flakes from the very middle of the bale, and then just, rub them in the dew. Like, wear, like, brand new gloves, like, try not to, like, get it too close to your body. Everything is possible to just make sure that this hay does not smell like people, to attempt to get him to eat. And so her and Bo get out there super early, and they do all of this work. And she, her friend Bo, like, bangs on the corral side. And so Char, like, looks at her, and then as my mom is throwing in the flake of hay, Char wheels around and just stares at her. It's just like, crap. He totally saw me just throw in the hay, and so he's gonna know it came from me. We have been foiled. And she said that he just kept staring at her. And then he, like, tilts his head. And then he just walks over and, like, sniffs the hay. And then he sniffs it. And he sniffs it. And then he slowly approaches her and then kind of puts out his head. Like, if you know horses, you know what I'm doing. And he kind of just, like, a sniff in her direction. And then kind of sniffs again, kind of snorts, sniffs, goes back to the hay and sniffs the hay. And she said he walked almost right up to her and then sniffed. And walked back to the hay and sniffed. And it was almost like this little light bulb went off in his head. And he was just like, this does not smell like you, but I saw you put it in. I know I'm not crazy. But if you're willing to go through all of this work to try to get me to eat, then fine, I'll eat. And so she said he did this weird little snort, and then he started to eat the food, like, didn't have a care in the world. And then she didn't have to keep doing that. Like, once he started eating, he would just eat. And then, she worked with him, and she said he trained like really well. And it wasn't so much like training him. He just decided that he was okay with her. Like, she became his person, not that he became her horse. And then they had an unbreakable bond that lasted about 15 years before he passed away. But that was how she got him and earned his trust. And he lived a very long, happy life with her. And there's lots of more fun stories between her and Char that I'll be telling, but this was just kind of like how she got him and how like he decided that he adopted her. Like maybe it was just like you need you need me more than I need you, person, because you're crazy or something. But even my dad can attest that like Char was a very crazy horse, very awesome, but didn't act like any other horse that they have had. He was a very unique animal, and it was meant to be between him and my mom. And I hope you like this story.